Hi, this is Project Spark Alphabet. I'm Lady Lex UK, and today we're doing the letter M. And for my brain tile, I've picked modulo, and for my prop, I have chosen the magical special effects. So let's start off with modulo. Now, you might not be familiar with this. It's a mathematical term. You might have seen the tile and thought, I don't know what that is, or how I would use it. Well, what it is it's a way of determining whether one number divides by another number and how much remainder there are, if there is any. So to make that a little bit easier to understand, so we'll go for a number. Let's go for 12, and then we'll put modulo in, and then we'll put another number in, modulo number 2. Okay, so 12 modulo 2 will return the number 0, and that is because the number 2 goes into the number 12 6 times with no remainder. So it makes the number 0 because there are no remainders. However, if I change this to 5, 12 modulo 5, that 5 goes into 12 twice, so that's 10, and the remainder is 2. So 12 modulo 5 is 2. Let's pick another number. 6. 12 modulo 6 is 0 again, because 6 goes into 12. 12 modulo 10 is 2, because 10 goes into 12 once, with 2 remaining. Let's choose 11. 12 modulo 11 goes into 12 once, and so the result would be 1, because there's 1 remainder. Okay, hope that's cleared up what modulo does. Now, how can I use it? Well, I use it in 2 different ways, and there are various ways you could use modulo, but I use it for determining whether a level is every 5th level, every 6th level, every 7th level. So, for example, I have a spawner here. Every 2 seconds in a loop, it's going to increment a round number. And if that round number is greater than 0, so if there is a remainder, it's not a round number of 5. So it's not round 5, it's not round 10, it's not round 15, it's all the others. Then he's going to produce an arctic tern. But if the modulo is 0, so that number 5 does go into the round exactly, we're going to create a fish. So let's see how that works. So go round 1, and we got a bird. Round 2, a bird. Round 3, bird. Round 4, bird. Round 5 is a fish. 6 is a bird. 7 is a bird. 8 is a bird. 9 is a bird. 10 is a fish. There we go. So every 5th round, I get a fish instead of a bird. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, if you're making an endless scroller, and I've just got to plug my controller in. If you're making an endless brawler with various levels, and maybe you're increasing the difficulty of your enemies as it goes, you don't want to have to type in the instructions for every single possible level that the player could survive. You need to be able to determine every 5th level, every 10th level, or what have you. And this is how you would do it. So you would use modulo to determine this is round 5, this is round 10, this is round 15, etc. And you do something different. So you might produce a boss level every 5th round, or whatever. It just means that you set a boolean. So if the modulo is fine, it sets a boolean that says boss level, and then you go into boss level, and maybe you've got a randomizer in there, and that randomly picks a boss every 5th level. So you might have a different boss, but you get a boss every five levels. So there's a way of using it. Another way of using modulo is to level up your player. So let's say we have an XP. The player collects XP during the game. When the XP modulo what shall we say, 30. So every time the player collects 30, we're going to level up. So there you go. You'd probably want to start it 2 in there. So when every time the XP modulo gets to 30, then you level up. There we go. And that will happen every time you get 30, 60, 90, 120, etc. And that's how you would create a very simple leveling system. So modulo is really quite useful. So let us know if you've used it in the comments, or any other questions about it and how you could use it. But now let's go on and let's just delete that. Now we'll go on and have a look at our special effects. Now I haven't done an awful lot on special effects tutorial wise, so I thought it's about time I had a look at them for you. So let's go into special effects, and if I type in not magic, because then it's going to pick up more than I want. So there we go. It's given us all of the magic special effects with the word magic in, and so let's pick these 3. So we've got a magic aura, a magic barrier, make it a bit bigger so we can see it, and a magic burst. Okay, so we put those in our world and that's what they look like, and so now we're going to go into test mode and see what they look like in test, because we don't want to see these white squares and things. We want to see what they look like. Okay, so there's the ghost aura, and there's the ghost barrier, but oh, there's no blast, nothing here. Now why is that? Well, there are 2 different types of special effect in Project Spark. One is a looped effect, which these 2 are here, and the other is a one-off effect that happens once and then is destroyed. And that is what that blast is. So how do we change that? Is it possible to change that? Of course it is, because as with props, special effects have brains, and so we can program them. So let's put in a countdown time. I'll put quite a quick countdown with a loop. We're doing lots of countdown timers and loops today, and we're going to toggle its power, because the power is what controls the special effect. If it has power, it plays. If it doesn't have power, it doesn't play. So there we go, countdown timer, 0.15 loop, toggle has power. So let's see what that does now. So now I have quite fast running, but quite a nice looking explosion effect. That looks quite cool, but I mean, it's got a very annoying noise. We don't want the noise. So we're going to properties of this gizmo, going to sound, and there is its sound effect there. So we select that, just go all the way across to the left, no sound, and now it has no sound, which is excellent. But the other thing you can do with this prop, if we go into the brain, we can set its pace, and this will slow down the animation. So we now set it to 0.15, it was a 1/6 of the speed that it would normally be, and there we have a rather interesting special effect. Look, it looks bigger, it looks great. That'd be great for a portal or something like that. That's completely transformed that special effect to looking like something else, and that you can do that with all the special effects, and you can create something that looks pretty spectacular that you didn't have in the gallery before. So you can do that with all the special effects. You can play about with them, and you can create some interesting looks. Now the other thing you can do with pace is that you can freeze an animation. So here I have this effect here. Now you can see it's running through an effect. It's an explosion and a little bit black cloud, and then you get a skull comes out of the it. So in order to work out what happens at what frame, what you do is you put in display frames above, and then you say countdown timer 1 in frames, loop frames, increment by 1, and then and then we put in as power, and then we say else started to frames equals 0, and then we'll run this like we did previously. It's quite a long one, so I'm going to give it 5 seconds, I think. And we're going to toggle the power. So this is going to let it play a few times. So we'll probably might not see it the first time round. So let's see. So we go over to our thing. It's running through the frames. There we go. It's stopped, and it will do it again in a minute. So now it's running through the frames. Now we want to catch that frame at the right point so that we're going to get a skull. I already know what that is. So I say, well, countdown timer. $110 in frames, pace equals 0. So it is now stopped at frame 110. So I've just got a skull. Now, because I've got it on a loop, it is still playing the special effects sound, and it will continue to do that. So you just go into its brain. You don't need the rest of this now. So you don't need the loop, and we don't need the display. We just need that line, countdown timer 110 in frames, pace equals 0. And here we have a special effect. It will run through it the first time until it gets to the skull, and then there we have it. We have a skull floating in midair, and you can put that anywhere you like in your world. You can copy and paste that. There is also a little circly thing there as well, but there you are. You can place that. That's a completely different special effect that you probably didn't know you had. You can place that in your world. Obviously it's got to play through on its first occasion. You can't sort of skip. You could possibly experiment a bit with making the pace extremely fast to start with. So for example, you say once pace equals 10, and then I think we might, let's try countdown timer 10 in frames. So that will move a little faster before it gets to the skull. Let's see, does that work? No, that isn't frame 10. It's a little bit earlier than that, I think. So you need to experiment about with it. Let's try 6. Nope. It's much more difficult to actually get it to work, but you get the principle. You could speed it up and work out what frame that you get the skull, so that it gets to it quicker. But there you go. That's how you would do it. Now let's just delete that one. Now you can also turn a looped effect into an explosive effect. So here is our looped effect here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say when the right trigger is pressed, I'm going to power on. And when it has power, we're going to do a countdown of 0.3 and then we're going to power off. And we're going to set a once up here so that it's off to start with. So let's go in there and have a look at that. So we've got no effect, and then I press the right trigger. There we go, and we've got a special effect. It works better if you change the sound effects so that you've got an interesting sound. Whoops, I need to go into properties. Sound. We've got magic aura loop right now. So let's change that to, because I know when I do this, I'm going to get this sound here, dark energy burst. So now when I try it, I'm going to get, that's quite satisfying. It's quite a good poof, and the magician appears type of effect. There we go. So you can manipulate the special effects and you have double the effects than you thought you had. Pretty cool. The other thing that you need to know about special effects is the visibility toggle. So we're going to properties and we'll turn it visible to on. Now I think you can see immediately what that's done. That's turned those squares, they've become little pyramid-y things, little diamond shapes, so that you can see them. Totally useless. So just remember that visibility on a special effect isn't the visibility of the special effect, it's the visibility of the handles. So if you want to turn a special effect's visibility on and off, you have to toggle the power and not the visibility. You can also change the look by changing the effect tints. So we go into the effect tints and we've got diamond dust, glow, impact rings and rings. Let's have a look at the impact rings. Currently they're blue. Let's make them red. So I've moved up to red. And let's move them over across a bit. There we go. And now they're red. Let's make the diamond dust. Let's make that purple. So now we've got, let's make them quite a deep purple, shall we? There we go. Oh, that effect did not stick. Whoops. Diamond dust. Purple. Purple. Select. Select. There we go. So now I've changed the colour of that. So we've got pink and purple stars and what have you. Actually, let's go the whole hog. Let's change the effect tints. of the glow. Let's make it yellow. And let's make the rings yellow. There we go. So we've changed that effect, so it looks completely different now. And you can do that with all sorts of special effects. Also, you can make a special effect look completely different by taking the opacity right down. So let's go into appearance of this. Effect tints. Now we've got magic particles, the flare, electric bolts, the flare. The flare is green. Let's take that opacity right down. There you go. That green is now gone. So we're left with the gold in the middle of it. So there, you can change the special effects in quite a lot of ways to make your gallery a little bit more interesting. Hope that's been useful too. Thanks for watching and keep sparking.